Throughout the course of history of human evolution, diseases have always been a constant companion of mankind. The shift from hunter-gatherers to agrarian societies has favored the spread of infectious diseases in the human population. Expanded trades between communities have increased interactions between humans and animals and facilitated the transmission of these zoonotic pathogens. Most of the diseases have now been controlled or eradicated altogether except the newly emerging and evolving ones such as Ebola, Covid, etc. There have been several documented diseases which started as localized infections, turned endemic, then into pandemics, and which have been responsible for wiping out a substantial percentage of population. In this video, we will discuss top 5 diseases that ravaged a substantial chunk of the population in different eras and in various continents. First, the plague of Justinian. This was a bubonic plague which hit the ancient Byzantine Empire when it was at its pinnacle and Mediterranean cities in 541 AD. This devastating plague was named after Justinian, the emperor of the Byzantine Empire. The outbreak originated in Ethiopia and spread throughout the empire. It was followed by frequent outbreaks over the next 200 years, eventually killing over 30 to 50 million people across Europe and the entire Mediterranean. During those times, this was close to half of the population of entire Europe. The means of transmission of the plague was the black rat, which travelled on the grain ships and carts sent to Constantinople as tribute. North Africa in the 8th century CE was the primary source of grain for the empire, along with a number of different commodities including paper, oil, ivory and slaves. Stored in vast warehouses, the grain provided a perfect breeding ground for the fleas and rats, crucial to the transmission of plague. This outbreak is usually considered the first pandemic of the entire human history. Second, Black Death. This spread primarily across Europe and Asia in 1346 to 53 AD. It was named Black Death because most of those who died due to this had their tissues blackened as a result of gangrene. This was also a bubonic plague that exterminated a huge chunk of population and led to massive devastation. It caused fatalities up to the scale of 200 million and is so far the deadliest pandemic the world has ever witnessed. When it was over, the European population was cut by a third to a half, and China and India also suffered death on a similar scale. Quarantine as a practice was first employed during this. The Black Death had a profound effect on our balance of genes, one that according to a new study is still deciding our fate today. Those effects are a mix of good and bad news. While the genetic variations that helped our ancestors survive the plague continue to offer some protection against similar respiratory diseases today, they also leave us prone to damaging autoimmune conditions. Third, Spanish flu. The 1918 influenza pandemic was the most severe pandemic in recent times. It was caused by an H1N1 virus with genes of avian origin. Although there is not universal consensus regarding where the virus originated, it spread worldwide during 1918 to 1919. Between 50 to 100 million people across the world died from Spanish influenza. The death toll was estimated to be far more than the 16 million killed in World War I that happened just months ago. It was named Spanish flu because apparently the Spanish media published uncensored reports of the pandemic as compared to other European governments which controlled the news for fear of undermining public morale. AIDS. AIDS is an autoimmune disease caused by the human immunodeficiency virus that was first identified in the Republic of Congo in 1976. It did not become a pandemic until it peaked between 2005 and 2012, largely affecting the African continent. The sexually transmitted virus has killed over 35 million people in the several decades of its existence, and it still continues to cause death. Fifth, Covid-19. In late December 2019, the world was introduced to a novel coronavirus, SARS-CoV-2, a pathogen that caused Covid-19. Just 2 months later, the World Health Organization declared the coronavirus outbreak a pandemic, meaning the virus had spread across several countries and sickened a large number of people. This new pandemic needs no explanation. This is the most lethal pandemic to wreak havoc in recent times. Over 7 million have so far succumbed to this. It has caused fatalities of unprecedented levels in recent memory. However, interestingly, it also made Greek alphabets such as Alpha, Beta, Omicron quite popular in common parlance. Scientists and medical researchers for years have differed over the exact definition of a pandemic. Is it a pandemic or an epidemic? But one thing everyone agrees on is that the word describes the widespread occurrence of disease in excess of what might normally be expected in a geographical region. Coronavirus is not the last pandemic in our lifetime. Scientists warn that the threat posed by zoonoses, that is infectious diseases that jump from animals to humans, is on the rise, and the risk of a new pandemic is higher now than ever before. This was all for this video. Thank you so much for watching.